Are you ready?
Yep.
Hey,
Thunderstorm Media's live, as always. Your host, Mr. Knox, GQ, is here, as always. We got a Super Bowl set. Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers. How many of y'all had it like that when the season started? If you say you did, you're lying. Welcome to Birdgang Weekly. I'm your host, Jeffrey Knox. That's my government. GQ. That's my name. GQ forever. It's how some of y'all refer to me and know me. CEO, creator of Thunderstorm Media, host of Thunderstorm Radio and the Birdgang Weekly Podcast, host of the new and upcoming, making his debut before Super Bowl Sunday, or his relaunch, Thunderstorm Sports, which is really kind of like Thunderstorm NFL. That's all we talk about. Welcome to the broadcast, guys. Got a lot to talk about. Andy Reid back in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl itself. Connor Barwin. Coaching vacancies with the Philadelphia Eagles. Those two Philadelphia Eagles on the Kansas City Chiefs squad that we keep forgetting about. Brian Dawkins. Hines Ward. I'm taking it everywhere today. Follow us on Facebook, Thunderstorm Media. Follow us on the new IG page, Thunderstorm Media, at Thunderstorm Media. Follow us at Twitter, at Storm Media 66. All my personal stuff is the same everywhere, at GQ_4_ever. Follow my personal vlog on Facebook. That's Jeffrey Knox, editor, sports writer, journalist. And of course, you can catch me every day detailing the comings and goings, the best stories daily. 10 million readers in 2019 inside the Eagles. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Martin Luther King Day to you. We appreciate you spending your time with us on a day where a lot of people have the day off and a day where a lot of people don't. And I'll never understand that second part. Martin Luther King. As you know, daily I give out my queens for a day, my king for a day. I started doing that because with so much negativity on social media, with social media turning us into a world full of stalkers, a world where people often condemn people who stalk people, but then stalk people themselves on social media, who troll your page, watch every single thing you do, never make a comment unless you say something that's an error. Social media has turned us into a world of stalkers. Social media has turned us into a world of nosy people. You can't say it's turned us into angry people because they can only amplify what you already are. Some of you are just angry for no reason. Which is why we developed the Petty Wop Award, which we will give out today. Social media does have its benefits. One of the reasons I'm on social media, the reason I stayed on social media is because I was an editor. So I was always placed in charge of handling social media accounts for all these magazines and these publications I was working for. I was always put in a position to, it kind of became free advertising. Now keep in mind, I was a DJ. So as a DJ, when I started doing it, there was a SB1200. There were Technics turntables. We had to drive to go get records. We had to have records mailed to us. If we started producing, we actually drove to Atlanta one time just to pick up a CD that had like 100 different snare kicks on it. So whenever I put a track down, I didn't have to keep using the same snare kick over and over again. Now they got Crate Kings, and you can just download somebody's whole catalog. When I wanted to rap, I walked into record stores, turned CDs over, and physically wrote down the address of a lot of these record companies. Now there's Google, there's Instagram. You can do all this. Where was Instagram 20 years ago? If Instagram existed 20 years ago, I'd already be a millionaire. It's free advertising. It allows us to have what we do pop off. And most of y'all are only content to create pictures of your dinner plate and the shoes you're wearing for the afternoon. Social media does have its benefits, though. It allows me to advertise for free. It allows me to connect with people I haven't seen in a while. I have found probably about 20 relatives that I haven't seen in years thanks to social media. But also, it's allowed me to meet a lot of good people. Social media is how I met one, I always give him credit, Gil Alcaraz, a guy who found a blog that I was doing for absolutely no money, thought I was a brilliant writer and said, why don't you come write for me? Social media has helped me find aunts that I didn't speak to for years. Social media has allowed me to find relatives that I didn't even know existed. So there are advantages, but there's also good and bad with everything, and there are parts about it that irritate me. So a lot of times the way I handle social media is I show up, I post what I want people to see, and I disappear. But social media allows us a voice as well. And I said all that to say this. I appreciate everybody that rocks with us on Thunderstorm Media. The page on Facebook is growing daily. The Twitter following, though people are forgetting to hit the follow button, is allowing me to interact with a lot of good people and meet a lot of good people. I see a lot of Eagles fans. Some of them want to tell me I'm stupid for something I said. Some of them don't agree with something I've written. But I enjoy all that because it's passion. I enjoy all that because people are pumped up or aggravated for one reason or another about this football team, and it's good to see. But social media allows me to connect with a lot of people, and what I started doing as far as King and Queen for a day is I said, let me stop being the guy. Let me do something to combat this negativity. So what I did was I came up with King and Queen for a day, which was inspired by a friend of mine, Navi the Poet, who had his awesome person pick of the day. So I can't, take full credit for the idea. It was inspired by Navi, and then I decided to add my own little spin to it. He's a big brother of mine. So I would intentionally pick out one male, one female every day and just tell them something awesome about himself. And it was never a run-of-the-mill generic stating. It was always a genuine statement about this person. That was a good thing because it helped me and it helped a lot of other people. You also help yourself by helping other people. And what I did was I injected life into people what I didn't know they needed some. People called me crying all the time. Man, it was my birthday and everybody forgot except you. Man, I've been struggling with some things, and you were the person to come along and say something nice, and it just made me feel awesome. Man, you have no idea. That came at the right time. I was down in the dumps, didn't feel like going on, but that gives me a reason to carry on. Hearing that over and over again is one of the reasons I brought King and Queen for the day back, and one of the reasons we implemented it into the Thunderstorm grouping, and one of the reasons that we just decided that we wanted to keep that a part of who we were. And the reason is people need encouragement. That's something that's never going to end. That existed way before, that dynamic existed way before we were around, and will be around way before we'll leave, which is why love songs will never go out of style. People will always fall in love, break up, have hearts broken. So, King for the day. Can't go another further without talking about Dr. King. Now, people that know my history know this. Believe it or not, I can be a little outspoken at times. Believe it or not, I have a tendency to upset people with some things I said. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but stick with me here. Believe it or not, there are times where I sit here and I intentionally try to find ways to aggravate people, because in some ways, when I get bored, my most pure form of entertainment is to irritate people. Now, it's more to it than that. Some of it is because, as I stated, I'm a gifted writer. And part of my writing style, part of what made me who I was, part of me that ended up facilitating the Thunderstorm Media, was the fact that I had a lot of ideas and opinions about a lot of different things. And that's something that's never changed, but it's because of people like Dr. King that I'm allowed to express freely, and it's because of people like Dr. King that I had to change my thinking about some things. In my younger days, and those of y'all that have known me for a long time know this, I was very critical of Dr. King. What he didn't do, what he wasn't, and what I would have rather had him be. Dr. King was a very, very special person. Dr. King took a route that I wish would have looked a little bit more like the Nation of Islam, even though I was a follower of Christ. I like the fact that they were strong. I like the fact that there was strength in numbers. I like the fact that they didn't take anything from anybody. And I made comments to the extent of, had Martin Luther King dodged those bullets, he'd have turned out a little bit differently. He'd have changed his thinking about some things. But I don't think that's true. Dr. King was a man of love. He was a man of great grace. He was a man of God. He accepted Jesus. He's in heaven. He inspired people. He was the mouthpiece for people that didn't have a voice, and not just black people. We're talking about women. We're talking about Hispanics. Everybody. We had to memorize his "I Have a Dream" speech. So my critique of Dr. King being at times what I said was a little too weak was an error. And I take all that back, now that I'm older. People will often jump on me and say, "Gee, you're a hypocrite. You always changing your thinking about stuff. 2 weeks ago you said," and that's the most immature and ridiculous argument I've ever heard. As adults, we're allowed to change our mind about certain things. I used to like Barack Obama, now I can't stand him. But I do realize that there are great things about Barack Obama. There are great things that he did. And at his core, he's a really good man. So is Martin Luther King. So is Malcolm X. So is the Mr. Louis Farrakhan. These are all men who are great men who stood staunch in what they believe, but didn't really subscribe to a lot of what each other was saying. Keep in mind, the two greatest Rastafarians that we think about are Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley. They didn't even agree with each other. But take that and hold on to this. I can't come on here and talk about Colin Kaepernick and Malcolm Jenkins and Anquan Bolden and all these people having the same drive and focus and the same thing that motivates them, and that it'd be okay that we all fight for the same thing and go to the same rally, even if we ride in different cars. Martin Luther King didn't take the same ride that Malcolm X took, but his ride was just as important. So I said all that to say I'm working on a day where we celebrate his birthday. So are some of you, and I think that's unfortunate. I don't understand how. I don't understand why this isn't a holiday that just isn't recognized as a day where we should shut everything down. Some people got it, some people don't. And that's unfortunate. But that's life. Some people get things, some people don't. Some people don't get it about Andy Reid. Petty Wop Award's coming. Some people don't get it about Jim Caldwell. Some people don't get it about Eric Bieniemy or Robert Saleh. And that's unfortunate. But we'll talk about all that in a minute. The Thunderstorm is live. I'm here. The team is in the building. We're partying on Martin Luther King's birthday. We're working on Martin Luther King's, not his birthday, but the day that we celebrate his birthday. And we're going to talk a little Super Bowl stuff here in the next couple of minutes. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Let's get it.
You know, I've lost friends over what I believed in. Been rejected for making positive changes. But honestly, if living right and following Christ means I've sold out, well, forget it, man, I take that. Yeah, I see I've been down that road before, but I know there's something better. Tired of depression, I'm tired of being fed up. Bled out of my heart, though people said I had a leg up and tried to knock me back when I would gain my strength to get up. You ever felt that way? Now you gon' have to put a hand up. Follow me down to the cross, see it's time to man up. Repent for all your sins, for every night of getting hammered. Be baptized in Jesus' name, have your soul washed as white as banner. Why you chasing fame? Dollar signs are not an answer. Money isn't evil, but the love of it is cancer. Eat your insides up and leave you dirty in a hamper. Cry you miserable and lonely, wait, smile for the camera. Sold your soul for glamour, then you try intimidation. Well, I tell you 20 million cannot buy you his salvation. Time is very limited, soon we'll have to face the counselor that gives us everything that we've been chasing. Then a judgment day will come, I really hope we make it. What a pity it would be if on that day you're getting wasted. I don't believe in Allah, He cannot feel my pain. I believe in Jesus Christ and I do this in His name. If you never heard the gospel, if you never heard the word, bring your life down to the altar, we can show you what it's worth. We've been through all types of struggles, we've been through all kinds of hurt. If that means I'm giving in, cause I hate sin, I'll just admit I'm sold out. Keep your money, your false idols, and your women. Sold out. I love my wife, I love my church, I'll teach my children. Sold out. That God is awesome, God is worthy, God is risen. Ain't no person on this earth out here breathing, go tell me different. Sold out. 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 Sold. Things change and I did too. Been locked up and He got me through. Lost in the world, recognized a fool. Had no faith and my life was doomed. Now washed by the blood and my spirit is new. I got a word in my heart, pump my veins with truth. Been to the cliff and I almost jump. I turn around, walk it out, no DJ Unk. I got saved that day, September 4th. Guilty of sin, but I gotta quit it in court. I know my path, I'm moving forward. This road leads to heaven, praise the Lord. Jesus! You are mighty, you are awesome, you are worthy. There ain't no one in this world or in this flesh that will deter me. Yeah, even the people that's talking us down cannot begin to dismantle the crown. The Lord is above us, I promise He loves us. He changed me and made me the man I am now. Giving the enemies praying serenity. If I am blocked, then He'll move me around. Pray to the Master who's everlasting. Give Him the passion that you have found. You cannot buy me, Satan. I don't know what you've heard, but I belong to Jesus. You really got some nerve. I tell you, if you're lost and really don't know where you need to begin, repent and be baptized in Jesus' name for all your sins. If you never heard the gospel, if you never heard the word, bring your life down to the altar, we can show you what it's worth. We've been through all types of struggles, we've been through all kinds of hurt. If that means I'm giving in, cause I hate sin, I'll just admit I'm sold out. Keep your money, your false idols, and your women. Sold out. I love my wife, I love my church, I'll teach my children. Sold out. That God is awesome, God is worthy, God is risen. Ain't no person on this earth out here breathing, go tell me different. Sold out. 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 Sold.
Sold out. Dear friend of mine, Rare Breed. Back on the Storm. Back on Birdgang Weekly. The Super Bowl is set. And I'm trying to get down there to broadcast live. Won't that be a party? The problem with me in Miami, the problem with me at a Super Bowl is I'm going to be trying to build so many connections and having so much fun that I'm going to forget to do a show. But I got to get down to Miami to do a live show there, man. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And for Eagles fans, most of them, it's great for one particular reason. It's great because Andy Reid is in a Super Bowl. Well deserved. The Eagles, as you know, were eliminated in the wild card round. Now we can get all into the whole what Jadeveon Clowney did or didn't do and how we should have him arrested. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today is about Big Red. A man, 30 years of coaching. Some of you aren't even 30 years old. A man who some of y'all say is terrible and doesn't know what he's doing. He's a horrible head coach. A man who's forgotten more about football than most of y'all know or will ever know. A regular season record of 207, 128, and 1. And you know what that one was? That's when Donovan McNabb said he didn't know the overtime rule and so on and so forth. That was embarrassing. A postseason record of 14 and 14, 500. And the game that can put him over 500 is the game in Miami. Andy Reid for his career, including the playoffs, 221, 142, and 1. 60% winning percentage, almost 61%. Only the 7th coach in history to lead 2 different teams to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs making their first Super Bowl appearance in Super Bowl IV in 1969. 100 years of football. The 54th Super Bowl. The Chiefs, who were actually in the first Super Bowl, are now back in the 54th. And it could have ended with the Chiefs and the Packers back in the Super Bowl, which would have been the exact same Super Bowl from Super Bowl I. San Francisco had other ideas. Andy Reid, to me, was a coach I loved, hated, admired, couldn't stand, hated to hear his press conferences, wanted to hear his press conferences. Andy Reid touched every single emotion with me. And often when we talk about him, we talk about the Sporting News Coaching Year Award in 2002 and 2000. The AP Coach of the Year in 2002. A Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 31 with Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers. Pro Football Weekly's Coach of the Year in 2002. Wow, 2002 was a good year, wasn't it? The Maxwell Club, as you know, great distinguished football club. Admires great accomplishments in football. He was the Coach of the Year for them for 2000, 2002, 2010, and 2018. He's also a member of the Philadelphia Eagles 75th anniversary team. He'll be a member of the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame, and he'll also be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, especially if he wins on Sunday. Andy Reid is the winningest coach in NFL history who hasn't won a Super Bowl. He looks to change that on February 2nd in Miami, where I got to be to do a live broadcast. Andy Reid irritated Eagles fans. And it was for one reason, because of that passion, of the fact we wanted to be the best. We wanted that Super Bowl. But people, those of you who are still upset about Andy for coming close and never kicking the door in, those of you remember 3 straight championship losses and then a 4th straight championship appearance that finally got him to the Super Bowl, and then losing by 3 points to the New England Patriots, who probably cheated. Those of you who look at Andy Reid for getting them back, what was that, 2009, and losing to the Arizona Cardinals, and watching them go into a game that the Eagles probably would have won against Pittsburgh Steelers. an Eagles team that lost to a Carolina Panthers team in 2003. I guess that was 2004's NFC Championship game. And watching Carolina go on to the Super Bowl and losing by 3 points to the New England Patriots in a game that the Eagles probably would have won. A lot of people think that Eagles Super Bowl team the following year with Terrell Owens was one of the best teams ever. I actually think the team before that was actually better, but they'll never be seen that way because it didn't make the Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb gets the people's elbow dropped on him by the Carolina Panthers, literally. And much like what we saw from Carson Wentz in this year's wildcard round, the Eagles had to carry on without their quarterback and wonder what would have happened had he played. The Eagles owe a lot to Andy Reid. He created a winning culture. Life was not bad as an Eagles fan. Could it have been better? Yeah. Would a Super Bowl have fixed everything with him here? Yeah. But you got to show love to this guy. This victory is as close as you can get to winning a Super Bowl or being in a Super Bowl as an Eagles fan without actually being in the Super Bowl. If Andy Reid wins, don't you in some kind of way have a little swell of pride about that? Don't you want to see him win this? Don't you as an Eagles fan feel like he deserves this? Won't you be a tad disappointed for him and some of you in him if he doesn't win this? This Super Bowl, if he wins it, changes everything for Andy Reid. Look at his resume. San Francisco State offensive line coach from 1983 to 1985. Northern Arizona offensive line coach in 1986. UTEP offensive line coach 1987 to 1988. Missouri offensive line coach 1989 to 1991. Green Bay Packers offensive assistant 1992 to 1994. He gets Brett Favre. Green Bay Packers 1995-1996 assistant offensive line and tight ends coach. And then his claim to fame 1997-1998 quarterbacks coach and assistant head coach, where he got a chance to mold a young Brett Favre. And then in 1999, as you know, he comes to Philadelphia and he gets to mold a young star who was actually considered for the Hall of Fame in the Centennial class, but didn't make the finalists. Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb should and probably will be in the Hall of Fame one day. He's clearly not a first ballot and never was going to be seen as one. But Donovan McNabb, statistically, the greatest quarterback in Eagles history. When you got a lot of other Eagles quarterbacks who are also in there. You got 1999 to 2012. What this man did for this team. What this man showcased as a coach. What this man, Andy Reid is amazing. And if you're an Eagles fan, I don't understand how you're not happy for the guy. So let's give out the Petty Wop Award. The Petty Wop Award goes to all of you who are rooting against him if you're an Eagles fan. Those of y'all, we talked about him a lot on Inside the Eagles, especially on the social media pages. The angst and the anger aimed to warm this guy because he didn't win the Super Bowl. A guy actually said, I don't know why the F y'all are pulling for this guy. He didn't win here. The fact that that statement can even be made, the fact that someone would even stand by an ignorant comment like that, the fact that somebody would even put their name to something that's stupid and foolish, that is petty by definition, and Eagles fans who are pulling against Andy Reid win the Petty Wop Award. Do you not think this man wanted to win here? Andy Reid will tell you himself. He's actually even said it. Andy Reid's biggest disappointment, perhaps in his coaching career, was his inability to win a Super Bowl for the city of Philadelphia. Why? Because he wanted one. Why? Because he loved his players and felt like they deserved one. And he felt like this team and this city, he felt like they deserved one. So you don't hold Andy Reid in the same esteem that you hold Doug Peterson. And if you don't, for a bevy of reasons, that's your personal choice and that's your preference. But keep something in mind. It was Doug Peterson that filled in until Donovan McNabb was ready. It was Andy Reid that put Doug Peterson on that field. And then it was Andy Reid who helped start Doug Peterson's career and Ron Rivera's career and Jim Harbaugh's career. And it's all these coaches who still call Andy Reid for advice to ask him questions, who still look up to him. Some of them have Super Bowls. Jim Harbaugh has a Super Bowl. Doug Peterson has a Super Bowl. And you look at that, and it's like the students surpassed the teacher in that aspect, but we wouldn't have those students and those great head coaches if not for Andy Reid. Doug Peterson never becomes the Philadelphia Eagles head coach if not for Andy Reid. And if you don't know that, you're a moron. We often talk about the fact that everybody has the right to be heard. No one should be voiceless. But at the same time, there are some of you who overvalue your opinion and have no idea what you're talking about. There are some of you who are ridiculous in some of your theories. I have often rode with a conquering fist and rode for the Philadelphia Eagles fan base like they're my brothers and sisters, and defended this fan base as being one of the most intelligent fan bases in all of sports. And then sometimes when I hear some of you speak, I wonder if that's actually accurate. Doug Peterson doesn't win the Super Bowl without Andy Reid. And Andy Reid, though he didn't win that Super Bowl himself, has his fingerprints all over that Lombardi trophy. The Petty Wop Award goes to all of you who are cheering against that man this morning who don't want him to win the Super Bowl. Keep in mind, there are two other Eagles there that we love and seem to forget about from time to time. LaShawn McCoy is also on that team. Stefan Wisniewski is also on that team. And all those great Eagles have a chance to win their Super Bowl. Now, would we have rather had them win it here? Of course we would have. But I'm pulling for Andy Reid in the Super Bowl, and I hope he gets it done. I think it's in his legacy, and I think there isn't a coach in the league right now, especially at the head coaching position, that deserves that Super Bowl, that Lombardi, more than he does. Might even break down and cry when I see him win it. Coaching vacancies are abundant on the Philadelphia Eagles. Coaching vacancies are everywhere. We got a bunch of spots to fill, and we may have to look for an executive. We'll talk about that next on the Storm. Birdgang Weekly is live.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Let's go. Let's go.
Sometimes I wish I could fly. I'll try, and I'll try, yeah, until I get it right, even when it's hard. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. Oh, 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 oh. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. Don't let them take your mind away, because there's something greater along the way. Life or death, which one do you claim? I'll play neither, because this ain't no game.
There you go.
Violence of violence causes more violence. Silence of silence causes more silence. You provide an offense. Now it's time for defense. You'll have to fight this. Whoa, no more denying. Sometimes I wish I could fly, and I'll try, and I'll try, yeah, until I get it right, even when it's hard. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. Oh, 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 oh. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. I can't imagine a life with no passion, no. Learning and comprehension, that's my type of fashion. I don't want no mention, no. 'Cause all I want is my Lord's presence. Sometimes I wish I could fly, and I'll try, and I'll try, yeah, until I get it right, even when it's hard. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. Oh, 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 oh. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. Now you realize the signs of a fight inside. Step up and take your prize. Whoa, whoa. Now you have faith. Yeah, yeah. Have faith in God's light. Sometimes I wish I could fly. I'll try, and then I'll try, yeah, until I get it right, even when it's hard. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God.
KD7, have faith. I got an old school bus double play coming up, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I know I am. I love hip hop, man. Love it to death. There's no GQ without hip hop. And I'd like to say there's no hip hop without GQ. That may not be true, but I like saying it. So welcome back to Birdgang Weekly. We mentioned Andy Reid. We mentioned Doug Peterson. As you know, there are a lot of coaching vacancies over here with these Philadelphia Eagles. We now need an offensive coordinator. We need a quarterbacks coach. We need a wide receivers coach. We need a defensive backs coach. And we may need someone in the executive office. Check this out. Now, right around, probably coming on a week ago now, the Carolina Panthers issued a request to sit down with Philly's Vice President of Football Operations, Andrew Berry. They were looking to fill their executive VP job. Now, Jeffrey Lurie, as he sometimes does, wants to keep all his good people to himself, and understandably so. He denied Carolina's request to do so. So, it is well within his right. It's not holding the brother back, as some of y'all have said. But he's trying to hold good people and keep them in-house, and I can definitely understand that. But he will not be allowed to deny Andrew Berry's opportunity, I guess, to interview for a general manager position, which now it looks like there are rumors that Carolina Panthers may want to interview him for that. And if he is hired in that role, I think that's a good hire for Carolina. But he'll also have some other options and opportunities too, as it also appears the Cleveland Browns are looking to snatch Andrew Berry from us. Again, Philly's Vice President of Football Operations, and it looks like the Cleveland Browns are interested in interviewing him for their general manager job. So stay tuned. That's something to watch. As far as quarterbacks coaches and wide receivers coaches. Wide receivers coaches, I think they got an excellent option here that nobody's talking about, and they're not moving fast enough for. Hines Ward has stated that he's interested in being the wide receivers coach for this team. I can't think of anybody else, except maybe, I can probably think of a few, but there are very few people that I can think of that I would rather have see teaching J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, teaching Greg Ward, teaching Alshon Jeffrey, who's probably going to be here, and teaching Deshaun Jackson. If there's anybody else who can still teach Deshaun Jackson something, it's Hines Ward. Why hasn't this gotten done yet? Now, there were a lot of vacancies when we started after Black Monday. There were a lot of vacancies surrounding this Eagles organization. The NFL in general, excuse me. So with all these vacancies, people move quickly. Some of them move too quickly, the New York Giants, and they filled a lot of these positions. So it's at the point where there aren't that many open positions as far as coaching that are interesting, except the ones that exist in the Eagles organization. So they feel like they have time to do this. They feel like they have time to work through this process. And watch, I'll release this show today, and watch, they'll probably fill 3 of them, which will make a lot of what I say on this show obsolete and insignificant. But Hines Ward definitely has to get a look as this team's wide receivers coach, and I think is a slam dunk hire if they decide to go in that direction. There's also the stories detailing that they've looked to talk to Mike Kafka. Now I'm not sure if that's for the wide receiver position or the position of offensive coordinator. I would assume that's the offensive coordinator position. Defensive backs coach, there was a rumor that was published too quickly by somebody who has no idea what they're talking about, saying that Brian Dawkins has been hired as a secondary coach. Again, that's something I don't think a lot of Eagles fans would object to. I don't think that's something Brian Dawkins is interested in. He's a great motivator. Just check out the story I wrote on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, I think this past Friday, talking about a speech that he made to the Philadelphia Phillies. If you haven't seen that, check that out. Brian Dawkins is one heck of a motivator. Just listening to him talk to those Phillies prospects made me feel like I wanted to he's talking to baseball guys, and he makes me feel like I want to put on a helmet and some shoulder pads and run through a wall. One heck of a motivator. I'm not sure what type of talent he has as a coach, but he's a guy that I don't think a lot of people would object to. He's definitely better than Corey Unlin. Anything is better than Carson Walsh. Hines Ward as a wide receivers coach is definitely better than Carson Walsh or Greg or anybody else that held this position in the last, what has it been, like 4 wide receivers coaches in the last 4 years? So not only I think it's good that the Eagles are working through this slowly and taking their time with this, I think they almost have to. They have to get these hires right because they have a track record of doing the exact opposite. They can't figure out the wide receiver coach, which is probably why they can't figure out the wide receiver position. Everybody wants to talk about how much of a mess they made out of the DK Metcalf thing and how we should have taken DK Metcalf over J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, I think, is still going to be pretty good. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside suffered from having Carson Walsh as a coach. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was taken in the second round, and he wasn't taken in the second round because he can't play. He was taken ahead of DK Metcalf, I think 4 picks ahead of DK Metcalf. And the narrative around much of the fan base now is, why didn't we take DK Metcalf? So some of the narrative around the fan base should be, had we taken DK Metcalf, he would have stunk here too. He would have been ruined by Carson Walsh. Thank goodness he's gone. Thank goodness Mike Groh is gone. Thank goodness Corey Unlin is gone. We'll have to see what happens in the case of Andrew Berry. But you got 4 positions you got to fill. You need an offensive coordinator. You need a wide receivers coach, Hines Ward. You need a defensive backs coach. I don't know if that's Brian Dawkins. You have a, let me go back. I missed one. OC, wide receiver coach, defensive backs coach. OC, wide receivers coach, offensive line coach. No, defensive line coach. I'm sorry. We need a defensive line coach. And that's valid for a very, very, very big reason. And that's because though we've seen greatness from Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, you have to attribute the success they're having to the fact that they're just great. That probably has nothing to do with coaching. Now, in thinking about the same thing, you have to ask about some other stuff. Why is Josh Sweat not better than he should be? Why do we keep saying Derek Barnett's about to break out and he never does? How come Sharif Miller didn't play a single snap on the field for the defense last season? That's coaching. And if you can't get Sharif Miller on the field, and if you can't get Josh Sweat ready to play, and if Derek Barnett can't break out, then the success of Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox have to be contributed only to one thing, and that thing is they're just great. That wasn't because of coaching. So you need a defensive line coach too. I've solved the offensive coordinator position for you. It's Jim Caldwell. It has to be Jim Caldwell. And those of you who eat up my inbox and keep telling me that Jim Caldwell is a dumb decision, shut up. You're those people that need to be silenced when we have football discussions. Everybody doesn't know everything about everything. I totally realize that. I've been called a know-it-all by a lot of people. I'm not a know-it-all. I know I don't know everything. I'm not going to walk into a kitchen and tell people what they should be doing with pound cake. I can't make spaghetti. So I realize that in conversations relating to cooking and food, I have to defer to someone else's expertise. I have to listen to someone else who knows more than what I'm talking about. You're just mad because I know more about this team and this sport than you do. And if you don't understand that Jim Caldwell is a slam dunk hire as an offensive coordinator, you are a moron. Jim Caldwell, let's just go through the resume. Wide receivers coach from 1978 to 1980 at Southern Illinois. Some of y'all weren't even born yet. Northwestern, offensive assistant. Colorado, wide receivers coach from 1982 to 1984. Louisville, 1985, wide receivers coach. Penn State, 1986 and 1992, quarterbacks coach. Wake Forest, head coach, 1993 to 2000. Tampa Bay, y'all didn't even know that. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, quarterbacks coach, 2001. Indianapolis coach, assistant head coach, and quarterbacks coach, 2002 to 2008. Oh, wait, let's stop there. You ever heard of Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning's biggest success, Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning became a Hall of Famer under the tutelage of Jim Caldwell. This man has forgotten more about football than some of you will ever know. And you don't think he's a good football coach because he didn't win at Detroit. Nobody wins at Detroit. And honestly, that's not even true. Jim Caldwell took Matthew Stafford, who I've been telling y'all for years is nobody and can't play. And y'all continue to want to believe that this dude is a perennial Pro Bowler and has an argument for the Hall of Fame. I've heard that. Believe me, it's that's something someone said. Jim Caldwell has a winning record with the Detroit Lions. Actually, let me fact check myself. But I'm pretty sure he does. He's 64 and 36. No, he's 36 and 28. He's 64 games in. He's 36 and 28. A 56% in winning percentage at Detroit. He wanted Detroit, people. He made Matthew Stafford a Pro Bowler. And then forget what he did with Peyton Manning. There are only two coaches in the history to start a season 14-0. Jim Caldwell is one of them. As Tony Dungy's quarterback coach, he made Peyton Manning into the guy that we know. He won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, and as the head coach, he took them to another one. And he probably would have won that if Peyton Manning didn't throw an interception at the end. Then he goes to Baltimore, and he gets Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was never good before Jim Caldwell or after Jim Caldwell. All of a sudden, Jim Caldwell shows up. Joe Flacco is the Super Bowl MVP, takes his team to the Super Bowl, never throws an interception during that postseason. And Joe Flacco gets big-time money like he's a big-time quarterback. That's because of Jim Caldwell. Peyton Manning, Joe Flacco, Wake Forest, wanted Detroit, made Matthew Stafford a Pro Bowler, and you don't understand why he's an offensive coordinator. He's not even an offensive coordinator. He's a head coach. And if you get him, you get a head coach at the offensive coordinator position. Imagine what he'd do with Carson Wentz. I'm not going to say Carson Wentz is better than Peyton Manning. We don't know that yet. But he's definitely better than Joe Flacco. He's better than Matthew Stafford. He made them into Pro Bowlers. He made Joe Flacco into a Super Bowl winning quarterback. What could he do with Carson Wentz? This is a no-brainer. I don't understand why he hasn't been hired yet. And I'm fearful that the Eagles will make the boneheaded decision of picking somebody else over him. That would be stupid. Those of y'all who don't realize it is stupid, it's ridiculous. Offensive coordinator, place myself in the hat. I'm going to start getting those little campaign signs, and I'm going to start putting them in people's yards. Jim Caldwell for OC. Whew. All right, I'm going to calm down. Now in other Eagles news, Connor Barwin has been elected to serve as the team's assistant to the GM. So now he works personally on a one-on-one level with our vice president and GM, Howie Roseman. Now, he won't be assistant Howie Roseman in the vice president role. Let's distinguish that quickly. He's not the next in line for the vice president job. He may not be in that line for that for a while. He's assisting Howie Roseman in his general manager duties. And in doing so, we saw him show up at the Senior Bowl. He's going to be doing some scouting. He's going to be doing a lot as far as helping transition rookie talent and collegiate talent to the NFL as far as the Philadelphia Eagles are concerned, and then whatever else Howie Roseman needs for him to do. But Connor Barwin, very respected around this organization, respected in the NFL for a long time, and really a great player in his time here, especially when he was in his prime. I didn't want him to come back when he threw his name and had somebody that was available. I didn't want him to come back for this season, and I stand by that decision. He's definitely well past his prime as a player, but the future's bright for him as an executive. Great hire there. Another great hire would be hiring Jim Caldwell. That almost has to get done. Let's close this out. Harold Carmichael. What can I say about the great Harold Carmichael that I haven't pretty much said all week? Harold Carmichael has done everything in his business. I think it's a travesty that he's not in the Hall of Fame already. There were times when we were talking about, I wrote about a year ago about 20 Philadelphia Eagles who deserve Hall of Fame consideration. And now you can take one name off that list. You can make that 19 names. Harold Carmichael. Before I wrote that, I actually thought he was in the Hall of Fame. Was shocked when I found out he wasn't. Played with the Philadelphia Eagles, a 7th round draft choice, mind you, from the great school Southern University. Everyone knows I love Southern and I love Grambling. I've ridden both sides of that rivalry. A 7th round draft choice in 1971. 7th round. Pro Football Hall of Fame. Played with the Eagles from 1971 to 1983. The team's all-time leader in catches, in receiving yards, in touchdown receptions. Finished his career in 1984 as a member of the New York Giants in that team with that ugly blue and gray jersey. But definitely an Eagle. through and through. The director of player personnel and community relations from 1998 to 2017. Harold Carmichael is a 4-time Pro Bowl selection, 1973, 1978 through 1980. He's a 3-time second-team All-Pro, 1973, 1979, 1980. He led the NFL in receiving yards and receptions in 1973. He's a member of the NFL 1970s All-Decade Team. He won the NFL Man of the Year Award in 1980. He's a member of the Eagles Hall of Fame. He's a member of the 75th anniversary team for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was all SWAC in 1970. Harold Carmichael has done everything. People would kill for this football resume. He's a member of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. He's a member of the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. He's a member of the SWAC Hall of Fame. He's a member of the Black College Football Hall of Fame. And finally, almost poetic in a way, but long overdue, 590 career receptions, 8,985 yards, 79 career receiving touchdowns. Finally, Harold Carmichael, with a name that sounds like he should be there already, makes his way into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And ladies and gentlemen, we're standing and clapping in the Thunderstorm Studios. Congratulations, Mr. Carmichael. I've been posting pictures of this guy all week. He deserves it. He has my utmost respect. There are countless Eagles that we love that look up to this guy. There are countless people who have already taken a step forward to congratulate him. Brian Dawkins is probably the most beloved Eagle of all time. And he loves Harold Carmichael. And no disrespect to Brian Dawkins. You could make the argument, how could Brian Dawkins be put in there before Harold Carmichael? Now, some people would debate that, but Brian Dawkins definitely, don't hear what I'm not saying, Brian Dawkins definitely deserving of that honor. Harold Carmichael is too. We thank him for everything he's done for this organization, both on the field and off. I'm a little bit older than some of you Eagles fans. I'm a lot younger than some of you. I look younger than all of you. But Harold Carmichael, great guy, great player, even better person, legend, and now immortal in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He'll leave us one day, but his memory will be here forever, and he'll forever be enshrined in Canton, Ohio. We'll be gone. His bus will still be there. And that's well deserved. Didn't get a chance to do my old school bus double play. We're right at the 1 hour mark now. We're probably going to hit overtime as the Super Bowl approaches. We definitely appreciate you guys taking the time to join us on Storm Media. Thank you for another edition of Birdgang Weekly. But we still got to do the old school bus. It's a tradition here. Ladies and gentlemen, we go out with a classic. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. At Storm Media 66 on Twitter. At Thunderstorm Media on IG. At GQ_4_ever. Like Thunderstorm Media on Facebook. Like my personal Jeffrey Knox, editor, sports writer, journalist on Facebook. Follow me daily on Inside the Eagles. It's been a pleasure. I enjoy doing it. I'd do it if I wasn't getting paid for it. Love every single one of y'all. Talk to y'all on the next go round.
We're JJ Fat and we're here to rock. Rhymes like ours could never be stopped. See, it's 3 of us and I know we're fresh. Party rockers, non-stoppers, and our names are deaf. See, the J is for just, the other for jamming. The F is for fresh, A-N-D, deaf. Behind the turntables is DJ Train. Mixing and scratching is the name of the game. Now here's a little something about nosy people. It's not real hard, it's plain and simple. Baby D. Supersonic. Supersonic. Supersonic motivating rhymes are creating. And everybody knows that JJ Fad is devastating. We know you like us, girl, so you better get sterile. Cause we are the home chicks that are rocking your world. Supersonic. a word when people stop to listen. Especially bigger people, they pay close attention. You might not believe it, you might not even buy it, but when it comes to our lady, you might even try it. Supersonic. Supersonic. Now all you supersonic people try to bite our rhyme. You may think that you are deaf, but you're way behind. So you better listen good to what we have to say, cause when it comes to JJ Fad, you can get no play. Supersonic. Supersonic. Now he's the freshest DJ from coast to coast. My man can cut and scratch, but I don't mean to boast. He may be a little light, but that's okay, cause when he cuts to the beat, it sounds this way. Hit it. Supersonic. Supersonic.
Yeah, it's finally my turn to rock the mic because my devastating beats I know you will like. You see my beat box is fresh, it'll blow your mind. And if you don't like my beats, I'll go
Big in your behind. Supersonic. Supersonic.
Now you party people know what supersonic means. We didn't try to brag cause JJ Fad is just too clean.
Now, baby, don't you know that our rhymes are so bionic? Don't listen too hard, don't be supersonic. Supersonic. You see, the S is for super,
And the U is for
unique. The P is for perfection, and you know that we are freaks. The E is for exotic,
and the R is for
raps. So tell those nosy people just to stay the hell back. Supersonic.
them big